Hey Facebook friends and Army buddies from way back. It's Captain Colostomy here. Kicking back in Mexico. Give you a look outside. This is basically a sort of upper working class neighborhood here in Mexico, in the city. And the expenses are higher here, but most everything I need is walking distance. I am now on day 16 of COVID, and it's basically it's been a big huge pain. And I've got just a little bit of goo coming out of my lungs still. Other than that, feeling pretty good. There's an interesting thing about my usual diet that I stay on, due to the cancer, and that is the thing is it's a low carb diet, and it has massive advantages, and one of them is that you just don't get hungry the way a normal person does. It's like 2 in the afternoon. I'm still quarantining basically. About all I dare to do is just go to the store, and I mask up for it because I don't want to share this around. And basically just hit the store quickly, and then I'm gone. But basically I've been skipping a lot of meals, and the thing is it's because you just don't get hungry the way you do when you're on a higher carb diet. Like, I was low carb for a long time, but then the cancer center had meals that were, they were designed to fight the cancer, and they had all kinds of good stuff in them, but they were not low carb. So I kind of got out of the habit of doing the low carb thing. So I was basically just doing, man. A woman used to live here in this rental house, and there's like friggin' mirrors everywhere. Everywhere you turn around, it's like, there's another me. But basically, you just don't get hungry. I skipped a lot of meals while I was on the when I was having that, the more serious parts of the cold, and it was kind of a drag, but I didn't feel hungry. And if you don't feel hungry, who cares if you eat or not? So I ended up just not eating for the most part. And even today, it's like 2 in the afternoon. What have I had? I've had, I do a 50-50 mix of cranberry juice and seltzer water, and I throw a pack of stevia in it, and So it's like soda basically. And then of course I use my big huge coffee cup that I brought from the States, and I've had 2 cups of coffee and a handful of almonds, and that way I can keep all my meds from spewing all over the floor after I take them. Because one thing is for sure, I can't take all those things on an empty stomach because they will end up on the floor, assuming I can't make it to the bathroom in time. So yeah, that's the downer. And one downer is that some of those meds make me kind of tired, like the U-tip capsules, but they are awesome for fighting cancer. Same with the berberine, that keeps your blood sugar down, and as well as the curcumin, and then of course the MSM, that's an anti-inflammatory, as well as, that's this stuff right here. It's an anti-inflammatory as well as a strong anti-cancer supplement. The downside is that I'm here in Mexico and I'm starting to run out of meds that I need. And like I ran out of Quirky Sword the other day, I ran out of modified citrus pectin about 3 weeks ago. So basically I'm getting to the point where I'm going to have to hop a plane and come home, because a lot of the things that I mean, it would take like 2 months for the stuff to get here, because it would have to go through customs and they would have to open the box and search it and everything, and it's a major pain and it takes a long time. So basically, yeah, no, it's not an ideal situation. Plus, but with I would like to get more vitamin C megadose IVs, but the thing is I can't do that because my state's locked down. So half the reason for going home is, not there. So I just wanted to say that being on a low-carb diet like this, it's like a superpower. Once you are adapted to the low-carb diet, basically your body becomes what they call fat adapted, and then you can live, and basically if you're eating fine, you eat protein and fats, as well as salads, but yeah, and you have to pretty much limit fruits as much as you can, except avocados. Those are low carb too. But basically, your body doesn't seem to know much difference whether you've eaten or whether you haven't, because it's eating whether you are physically eating or not, because everybody has, even if they're not too fat, they still have a layer of fat all through their body, and even in their internal organs and everything, there's probably more fat than most of us need, and that fat is tapped by your system, and you are being fueled by it, and so you never reach that crisis point that you reach when you are accustomed to eating carbs regularly. But man, when you eat carbs, as I was, there were times when I was so hungry it was freaking ridiculous. I mean, like in the morning before we went to breakfast, before I got the virus, I would sometimes be so crazy hungry it would be ridiculous, and it was like I was like a shark. I was so hungry. It was like bizarre, and then of course I would end up ordering too much for breakfast, and well, so I do like being able to fit into my size 32 jeans again. That's pretty cool. But I'm still basically stuck in this house because I do not want to go circulating around and going to restaurants and stuff when I would end up probably spreading it to somebody else. And most of the people here, they can't really afford to take much time off of work. So it would be a financial blow for them if they got the virus like I did. Me, I can handle it. Most of the time I don't go running around anyway, but it does feel kind of confining. So I mean, I enjoy how slim I'm getting. It's like you can kind of see what I look like from my point of view. The only thing that sort of pokes out is the colostomy bag, which I have to wear all the time, of course. Then, of course, it ends up hanging down below my shirt. But, you know, there is no perfect life. I enjoy kicking back in Mexico and not being locked down. I enjoy having independent wealth, basically, that can't be confiscated by the government. I enjoy being back to size 32 jeans again. I like the low, relaxed, low-stress lifestyle I have here. I don't like the fact that I'm confined, you know, even if it's self-quarantining. And of course, cancer has still got a gun pointed to my head. And, you know, I've heard good things about people having serious remissions in their cancer after they've gotten the virus that everybody's yowling about. Maybe my tumors will shrink because of this, you know, fingers crossed, that would be nice. I mean, I'm pain-free, so I'm not complaining there. But cancer is always standing right behind me, and it is waiting to take me out. So, no life is perfect. That's about all I got for you. Oh, all that crazy stuff on the whole Gamestop and the Robinhood app and all that. Man, that's some crazy stuff. It just shows, first, if anybody hasn't heard of this, a bunch of angry people got together and decided to stick it to the man because they've just been doing criminal stuff, you know, that technically is illegal. The market makers, like the hedge funds that create and own the companies that create the markets, they actually shorted that GameStop company to 140% of available stock, meaning that they've sold more stock on the market than exists. So it's basically impossible for them to cover their shorts because they can't buy up enough shares to make that happen. But then and somebody has to hold those shares. Somebody owns those short positions, and then basically it was down to $8, and then this freaking crazy army of angry, torch-bearing, pitchfork-holding working class people bought up these shares and pushed it up to like $400, and then then it starts to reveal the fraud and the criminality in the system by the Robinhood app and E-Trade and a couple other platforms that plebeian working class lowlifes like us attempt to participate in the stock market with. Well, they just arbitrarily cut off everybody's ability to buy more of the GameStop stock and a few other stocks as well. And just arbitrarily, totally unfair, cut off their ability to do that. And then they turned around and started forcibly selling the stocks from the working class people's portfolios. and then causing a lot of people to take a lot of losses, and they did it because they can, and they just have the power. And when you go into their layer, you are at a disadvantage. Usually the illusion of fairness exists, but when they start losing serious money, like they lost billions, then the fairness goes away, and then the iron fist comes down, and they force sales and force people and end people's ability to buy, and they can't participate in the market. And boy, that really reveals the illusion of fairness and how much bunk it is. And that's just the thing. When you participate in their system, the only thing you can do overall as a general rule is lose. And if you don't lose, and if you like just barely maintain with inflation, you're going to lose anyway, because inflation is projected, like Citigroup is calling for 20% inflation in 2021, but I think that's a low ball. I think it's going to be more like 35%. So that means that all the prices will rise on the things that you actually buy, not the things that they measure for inflation, but the things that you actually buy and need, which go up. And those things basically go up to the point where effectively your $100 that is in your checking account or savings right now, by the end of 2020 will probably be worth about $65, although it'll still be $100 in name, but in name only. But its buying and its purchasing power will only be something like $65. So I've seen this coming, and I've seen stuff like this for like decades, and it's just irritated me to the point where I just started pulling my my energy out of their system, and started moving. Went frugal, never bought a new car, never bought a new house, never, and I always, when I did buy my condo, I bought a condo that was inexpensive enough so that I could pay the payment easily on my wages. So, and then I ended up just paying extra, and without even trying, I paid it off in 11 years. And every time you every time you pay a debt off, you effectively destroy that money, which is basically debt. If you want to look into how the financial system really works, you can go to YouTube. If it's still up, you can look at that animated series called Money is Debt, and it'll give you a good overview of the crazy usurious Ponzi scheme that we're living under, that we've been living under all our lives. So anyway, I've pulled my power out of their system and put it into things like precious metals. And then when I got a clue on Bitcoin, I started stacking Bitcoin too. And now never need to work again, and they can, the ruling elites who really control everything, they can do things like shutting down your ability to trade, and they can, just like they did in Cyprus, they can actually reach into your checking account and take money out basically whenever some kind of emergency is declared. They can do what they call a bank bail-in and just start taking tons of your money, which you thought was yours, but if you have money in the bank, it doesn't really belong to you, it belongs to them. And the only thing that really belongs to you is maybe a few of the things that you hold physically, like your kitchen table and and maybe your car. But most of those things aren't even worth seizing, but they could seize those too if they wanted to. And But the thing is, one thing that they can't take is if you have Bitcoins properly stored, there isn't any force on this earth that can take those things away from you. Those things can, the only thing that can happen is they can like come and get you physically, throw you in a cage and demand that you hand over your passwords. But it's the person who still is in the driver's seat, even if you're sitting in a bench in a prison cell, you are still in charge because it's up to you whether or not those Bitcoins move. And 99% of the time, if you hand over your Bitcoins anyway, they'll just leave you buried in the prison anyway. So there's really no profit for you if you were being held in duress to hand those things over. Basically, there's no point, no profit motive for you to do so because they'll just abandon you in prison then. So yeah, you cannot you cannot count on the word of government to promise you that something will happen, and it will. It won't happen unless they decide that it will happen. Or you can just insist that you lost your Bitcoins, and then eventually they'll get bored of keeping you in the prison, and then they'll kick you out. You know, you'll be homeless by then, but you might be able to then access some Bitcoins and then you know, become solvent again, and then find a way to get out of the country. So yeah, nothing in this world belongs to you really the way that Bitcoins belong to you. Everything else can be taken more easily than they can take your Bitcoins. About the only thing that's like just almost as resistant to confiscation is precious metals, if you have them buried deep enough so that a metal detector can't detect them, or if you have them hidden in a way that they can't be found. But you know, your ability to hide things doesn't come anywhere close to the level of security that Bitcoin has. Okay, so basically, yeah, I pulled my power out of their system, and now the result is the power that I've collected and accumulated over, you know, since 2006 is now still mine. It still belongs to me. All that surplus income, it's all still in my pocket, and they cannot take it. That's assuming they even know it exists. So yeah, it's all good. So yeah, pull your power out of the system. If you don't like the system that you're living in, go frugal, go low carb, and then you will be clawing back like so much power, you know. But if you're not frugal, your money just goes right through you, just like money diarrhea, and then you're poor forever, constantly. And with carbs, the way most people chow down on sodas and ice cream and pizza, the way I used to, the only thing you're going to do is harm yourself, harm your finances, and and then of course you're going to have a lot of medical bills that you wouldn't have otherwise because you won't be nearly as healthy, and you might run into the problem I have, cancer. If you get cancer and you eat a lot of carbs, your immune system might be overwhelmed by the cancer. Whenever you drink like a soda, your immune system is compromised for about 4 hours, supposedly. I just heard that statistic somewhere. Don't try to get me to give you links, because I'd have to research it from scratch all over again. But the sugar spikes disrupt your immune system, if what I hear is true. So basically, clawing back that nutrition, you know, and then going low carb, maybe throwing some fasting in there, you'll be a lot more healthy. You'll be much less prone to to needing medical care. And I haven't been to the dentist in a couple of years because I don't build up plaque, and I haven't had any dental problems. So all I do is just brush my teeth every night, and that's the only care I give them. So if all that sugar just rots your teeth as well. So yeah, that takes power away from you, and it gives it to them. And those people, they hate us. So the less power you give them, and the more power you claw back to yourself, the better off you are, and the less of your energy is taken from you to support their system, which is only used to cause us problems and oppress us. So that's about all I got for you, old buddies, and later.